It's interesting that you talk about that and what we're talking about with David and Jonathan, because Yahushua, he comes and he hits it in John when he talks about, and it's a very familiar passage, 13, John 13:34 through 35. Let me go to it
Hmm.
real quick. A very familiar passage. I don't want to paraphrase it. It says, "A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that
God,
ye
God.
also love one another. But this shall all by this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you have love one to another." And that's important because what we're talking about is the influence of a society on what manhood looks like, or what we perceive manliness to be. And that when you talk about the gymnasiums that were built in the Maccabean period, you talk about the competitiveness between each other, the covetous nature. I had to have the best body. I had to have the position of prestige. I had to have the most money. So now, by the time Yahushua comes into the picture, he's saying, "Listen, if your righteousness don't exceed the righteousness of the Pharisees, then you're right." You know, he says your
Come
righteousness
on.
is the righteousness of the Pharisees, because their righteousness was based on status. Their
Mhm.
righteousness was based on mammon. Their righteousness was based on their position. That's why he talked about the way they prayed, the way they gave alms, the way they fast. They did everything for recognition. But he said, "Let he who considers himself first among you first serve." So now, when you talk about this new commandment, the problem was during the time when he came, nobody was loving. No man was loving. No man was esteeming their brother higher than themselves. Everybody was competing with one another. Who's the most called? Who's the most anointed? Who has the slickest shoes? Who has the best suits? Who has the finest woman? Who has the finest ladies? All of this stuff that give us this quote unquote status, this quote unquote prestige, that was more important than it was to have actual brotherly love. Where if I got it, you got it. That's why the rich young ruler had an issue. He said, "What shall I do to inherit eternal life? Honor thy father, honor thy mother. Thou shalt not kill." Still, he said, "These things have I kept from my youth." He said, "But you lack one thing. Go sell all you have, give it to the poor, and follow me." He couldn't do it. Why?
Yeah,
Because because he had
he
great
loved it
riches.
more.
He loved his status.